Hello, and welcome to the Fresh Air Show. What is up, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Fresh Air Show.
Hello.
Summer is here, and I've redecorated the set to look more summer-ish, like we're on a beach now. That's what people will see on YouTube.
Well, what's that water over there called, Dan?
The big blue wet thing?
Yes.
That's the ocean.
Dang it. So we always had a running joke in the summer where if someone else says they see the sea first, they are the one who has to buy the ice creams.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Well, oh boy. We've had quite a few summers in our lifetime. Have they been memorable in any way?
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's been quite a few stories that have passed that I've wanted to tell. Like, I'm just gonna start off with this random one that I found funny. So, me and my family were at a skip recently throwing away a few things, and I saw a whole ton of bikes there, like, oh, you know, if I grabbed one of them, it might be nice to have around. And Dad was like, yeah.
Yeah, my dad does the opposite. He goes to skips just to see if he can scrounge anything from it.
Well, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Well, that's my dad in a nutshell.
We're wombles and proud. And my dad cut in saying, it's just a shame all those bikes are for recycling. There, see, I can do terrible jokes too, Recycling. So, any summer stories you'd like to share with us?
As of this summer, or just summers in general?
Well, yeah.
I could tell you a pretty funny story.
All right.
That's haunted me and my cousin for many a year. Or should I say me, and he laughs.
Okay.
Okay, so this always makes him laugh when I talk about it. So we were at Weymouth Beach, and we were throwing a beach ball around, and it was a very windy day. So we made a rule. We said if we throw the ball and it loses, the person who didn't throw it has to go grab it because it was we had quite a distance between us, and we were trying to conserve our energy, I guess.
Right.
So he threw this big beach ball at me, and I had the vast ocean to my back, and he had the beach behind him. So he throws the ball towards me, and it gets to the middle of us, and then it blows off in another direction, and there's loads of people to our right. And I was like, I literally had just gone to get the ball, so I said, go get it, and he said, oh no mate, I'm out of breath. So I'm like, okay, I'll go get it again. So I start swimming, and obviously the current's pulling it away. It's going sideward down the beach at this point. So I get there, and I'm like, oh god. And then these two women are there, and they're like, oh, they grabbed it for me, and I was like, oh, thank you. And she picks it up to throw it back to me, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that. And she throws it, and it blows over her and carries on the way it was going.
Oh no.
So then I go like 3/4 of the way down the beach. At one point I touched it with my finger. The current just had it out of reach. And then it started to get further and further away, and eventually you could see it as a little speck on the horizon, and it was never to be caught again. And every time I turn around, my cousin's just there pointing and laughing and gasping for breath, and it was really funny. So.
Oh, wow. Losing something at the beach is just the worst feeling, because you've got like this precious item, whether it's bucket and spade or a nice beach ball, and just to see it blown away, it's like, no! Like, I think I remember something pretty similar. There's this sort of playground, I guess, near the coast, and it's got like this large sand pit, and it's quite It's not that far from the beach, but it's cleaner sand, so you don't need to deal with crabs or rising tides or whatever. And
Or fish.
ah, fish.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyway, I remember when I was about 4, my gran was always gathering, had a large collection of beach supplies because she had a sand pit back home, and so if there was sand elsewhere, she would just bring all the buckets and spades along. And the thing is about this park is that the sand pit was just like the base of like a regular sort of looking playground, and oftentimes we run around and just forget that our buckets and spades are over there. And I remember this green one for this particular story, and so we were making sand pies, we ran off somewhere, and we came back, and there was a whole bunch of other uh, people and their kids had arrived there as well. And I saw one woman holding my green bucket, and I was going to like oh there's my bucket, and I was like, what, no, I found this, you go off, and there's another space over there you can play in, but that's my bucket. And I never saw it again after that.
Oh,
And there's a VCR clip of this, and every time I see it, because that woman appears in that video just holding onto my bucket and smirking. It was the last footage I ever saw of that bucket, and she took it away from me.
oh,
And,
that's horrible.
and so I always wind
Some
up point
people.
and so I always wind up pointing at the screen and going, "You."
And if you're out there, he still remembers it. She's
Mhm.
watching the video, right?
Yeah.
Never forgive. Never forget. Resent and remember.
Yeah. So what about you, Ron? Any stories about the beach you have to share?
Not particularly. No, my summer holidays are always kind of the same.
Hmm.
Um,
Go to the beach, muck around, come home, sunburnt, pretty much.
occasionally minus the sunburn part. Yeah.
Has anybody here? I haven't, but has anyone ever had their ice cream stolen by a seagull before?
No, but I
Nope.
dread the day. I seriously dread the day. I'm constantly living in fear.
It's gonna happen one day.
Yeah, because where me and Rowan live, there's like tons of seagulls, and they go as far in as like the foresty areas that lead into the Scottish marshes, and I'm just constantly looking up. If I've got food in my hands, I'm constantly shielding it from seagulls. Like, don't you dare!
Well, fun fact.
I got my eye on you, flying rats.
I always used
That's
to
what
think
really all
that.
seagulls are. They're just rats with wings.
Yeah.
People say that about pigeons as well. But,
Yeah, I'd say it's more seagulls.
yeah. Well, but fun fact. If seagulls are actually inland birds, and they're always called gulls, so everyone's given them the nickname seagulls at the beach. So it's not actually uncommon for you to find them. We used to have them in our secondary school, like out on the field, getting litter and stuff.
What, they actually
So-
attended your classes? Like there were little baby seagulls in your class?
Yes, they were loud and obnoxious.
I know a few people like that. So you
Don't
had
we
food.
all?
So you had ice cream stolen from you, Dudley?
No, I said I haven't.
Mm.
I mean, at most I've had them eyeing up my chips, but that's about it.
I've seen tons of videos of seagulls just stealing food, and I'm always wondering, how can we get back at the seagulls? Like, I actually had a conversation with this with a few friends in high school. Like, if we were to get vengeance on the seagulls for stealing food, what would we spike their food with? And
Rat poison.
oh god, I remember one of my friends thought, why don't we spike them with crack? Not that he was not that he was into that sort of thing. We were just mucking around and telling jokes. But imagine a seagull on crack. Like he sees.
There's actually no need for us to get back at the seagulls. I'm trying. There's
I
this
think that's just a ways of making it worse.
well, I saw this documentary once on TV, and there's I forget the name, so I'm gonna call it a Faulkner bird, but it might be wrong. I've forgotten the name. I think there's a black bird which is like twice the size of a seagull, and it steals food from the seagulls. And I've always so it's a massive bird, and they were like the seagulls will catch their fish, and the black bird will come in and steal it out of their beaks, and I'm like, justice.
I think that's probably why they steal food from humans, because like they get their fish stolen and they're forced to rely on other means. Like, well, he stole my fish, I better steal this guy's fish. Ah!
That's good logic, actually. You've made an argument for the seagulls. Your plan's backfired. You're now on the seagulls' side.
Oh god, I've gone pro seagull. But speaking of ice creams, I think we can all agree, as a child, the best sound to hear in the middle of the summer on a hot day is the ice cream van. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I remember the ice cream van coming into our streets. Everyone heard the jingle and we were like, "Oh, let's get back to our houses and get the money from our parents." But I remember in my estate, getting to the ice cream truck was always such a pain because they would park at the very end of the estate, and I was literally at the opening of the estate, and I'm like, it was a pretty, our estate is pretty much on a slope, and so as a kid everything looks bigger, and so you want me to climb a mountain to get my ice cream? I can't do that. Carry me.
Prove your worth, child.
Cue the Mission Impossible theme as you go up the hill. It's awesome.
Yeah, dun 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 dun, and then I'm just on all fours, just sweating my pants off, like da 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 da.
And then you get there and you're like, oh dang it, I forgot the money. Back down the hill again.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of hot days, in Scotland, in the UK, if not, it's been freaking boiling. Honestly, we are melting up here because it gets so hot now.
I've heard the next couple of days might be cooling down a bit, but watch out for those thunderstorms, people.
Oh boy.
That's what they're saying. But on the subject of things to cool us off in the summer, you'd have to go a distance, but if you ever go to Cornwall, try their ice cream sundaes and their milkshakes. They're so good. It's really the best milkshake I've ever had.
Well, I'll believe it. You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. Recently this summer, I've been seeing this commercial, and it sends me through a roller coaster of emotions. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but basically, it's of like this group of children playing football. Not the American football, the Scottish soccer-looking football. And there's this one girl in the goal, and she's ready to stop the ball. And all of a sudden, this car comes in, and the girl's nowhere to be seen. And I'm like, oh god, I've just watched another disturbing PSA. I didn't want to see this today. And then it suddenly cuts to this narrator saying, "This might not happen, but it can in this game." It was a commercial for Rocket League.
Which is an awesome game, I will say.
Yeah, I want to play it, but Jesus Christ, that scared me. I didn't want to see a scary PSA. I was like, oh god, he hit the girl. Nope. It was a
I thought
commercial.
it was either going to be a PSA of drunk driving or child kidnapping.
Yeah. Nope. It was a commercial for football with cars. But that scared me. It really
That seems
did.
counterproductive. Yeah, either the ball would damage the engine of the car if it went under, or the car would just deflate the ball. That's not how. What?
Have you even seen gameplay for Rocket League?
No.
It is pretty fun.
The ball is massive, just so you know.
Okay.
Like, well, you can change the size. You can change the size of the ball. You could have an extendo boxing glove come out the front of your car and hit it. You can change the gravity, and it's a good laugh. It kind of reminds me of. It has a vibe of Robot Wars to me, in a way. The way people enjoy it, I think.
I think I've played a game that's pretty similar to that. It was called Robocraft, and it was on Steam. I used to play on Steam, not anymore because due to transfers between one of my old laptops and my current one, I've since forgotten about it. But maybe if I get another one day, I'll give it another shot. So basically, it was Robot Wars mixed with Minecraft. Like, you build robots out of like little cubes, and you add attachments like wheels and guns. And I made a pretty scary robot. I used to call it the Runner Ducky. And basically, what it is, it was like a rubber duck on like this sort of platform with wheels, and it had sort of spiraling eyes, which in the game I guess is sort of a defense shielding mechanism. And it was covered in guns. It had 4 crab walker legs in case the wheels didn't work, and there was a hidden plane inside the duck, so if that got destroyed, I could make a quick escape. And I remember absolutely terrifying an opponent on the opposite team, and I love thinking about this story. So in Robocraft, it's essentially a bit like destroy the other team's base before they do, and the runner duck was scaling up this cliff, and I was looking down at the other team, and I saw this one team member advancing, and I was like, "Oh no, you don't!" And so the duck jumps off the cliff, and it flies in with its wings, and like some sort of mutant head crab or face hugger, it lunges onto this player, trapping them while the guns just finish it off. Imagine seeing that through their eyes, just this giant flying duck with spiraling eyes and crab legs. I just wish I could visualize that, but I don't have Photoshop on my side currently.
Have you ever heard of a thing called Bamzuki?
Bamzuki. Nope.
No, well, it might be before your time because it was on CBBC. And basically, the idea was you had a program that you made these computer animated things. It's a bit like Robot Wars, except you create these creatures that do different things. And then they take it to the show where they do contests, like knock each other out of the arena or go across an obstacle course. If you haven't seen it, maybe check out some of the videos because it was quite good. I think you can still get the software, but you can't. They don't actually have to show anymore. And that was pretty fun. I made one. The thing I made kind of looked like a tadpole with 4 legs, and it used to hop around really high, and it was really good. And if I'd ever managed to get on the show, I would have used that because it's pretty good. But look it up; it could be good to watch.
Oh! I just remembered a story, just like that. All right. This happened a really long time ago, but basically, have you heard of a kids show called Little Bear?
Yes.
All right. Rowan?
Little Bear. I don't recall.
Okay. Yeah, basically, it was about this. It was about this anthropomorphic bear cub living in a forest with his mum and dad, who goes on many adventures with his animal friends. And alongside Bear in the Big Blue House, it was probably one of the first ever TV shows I was introduced to. And it, I, when I realized it was on Nick Jr. when I matured a little bit, I was like, oh, "Yay! more episodes of my childhood." And on Nick Jr., they're always on like these kids shows. They're always having kids send in pictures of TV shows so they can hang up on their walls. And I was like, "Hey, I'm a pretty good drawer for most people. Maybe I can send in a drawing of my own." And so, yeah, I decided to make a picture of the Little Bear show, and it wasn't a masterpiece, but to child me, it was pretty good. It was basically just a sim.
Mm.
It was basically just a simple drawing of Little Bear and his friends playing hide and seek, and I showed my dad, and he was like, "Oh, that's really good." And so I pointed towards the TV to the hosts at the time, and keep in mind, because it was quite a long time ago, the two hosts of Nick Jr. at the time were two earthworms called the Early Worms, and um, and they basically said, "Oh, I'm afraid." I'm afraid we can't send the pictures back, but we do like to hang them up on our wall. And I was like, I don't care. I just want to get my picture on TV. And it came up with a little website info saying, if you want more information on how to send your pictures to us, just visit our website. And knowing nothing about computers at the time, I told my dad, alright, just do whatever needs to be done. I want to see my picture up there. And so my dad nodded and like, alright, I'm on it. And so, the next day, I sat in front of the TV watching Nick Jr., just waiting for my picture to show up. I'm like, oh my god, once it shows up, it's gonna be amazing. Um, it didn't show up, uh,
Mm.
that day, and so probably didn't make it on the first day. Maybe I'll wait the next one. And again, nothing. And then the next day, and then the next day. Days stretched into weeks, weeks stretched into months, and eventually, as I left my childhood behind, so did the memory of making that picture on TV. I found it in my parents' wardrobe 10 years later.
How could they?
Ugh, the one picture I wanted to send to Nick Jr., they kept it for themselves.
Ugh.
Really, parents.
Like, the reason I found it is because in their closet, I often need to go in there for quite a few things like, oh, the extension cables, the ironing board, the wrapping paper, and then I look up onto the shelf and I see this trapper keeper of uh, a drawing that I did on the front. Oh hey, let's see that. Oh, and this is some of the work I did in primary school. Oh, there's that portrait of Robert Burns that I did in charcoal that got the Headmistress Award. Oh, look, there's that Pokemon picture that I drew while I was on the plane. Oh, look, there's that picture that was supposed to be sent to Nick Jr. 10 years ago.
You went
I was
stormed downstairs.
and you know what the worst part is? I haven't told my parents, so by the time they hear this, they're gonna be in trouble.
I'll tell you what, if you can hold off on them seeing it, you should just bring it up at dinner sometime and say, oh, do you remember when I made that picture? Oh, yeah, you said you were going to send it off. Just see what they say. Like, or if you do that, tell us what happens in the next podcast, because that could be quite funny. Do you still have the picture now?
Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
It's probably still in their closet. I'll probably, if it is there, I'll probably put a screenshot of it on the screen for YouTube.
Yeah, do that. That'd be cool. I want to see it.
I was so angry at that moment. Like, my one chance at fame, and you blew it.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
You are listening to the Fresh Air Show.
You know, speaking of that show, Dudley, that you brought up, um, whenever they included kids taking part in certain challenges, at one half of me is like, oh, these kids are so brave. But then there's the other half of me that sort of cringes up and says, oh, I can't look. And the reason why I get like this is because some shows that involved kids taking part in dangerous challenges, for instance, shows like Raven and Jungle Run and Trapped, all on CBBC or whatever. And
yeah, I remember Raven. That was good.
yeah, and those shows all pretty much scared me because they basically said, if you fail, you're never seeing your family again. And when it came to the grand finale of, okay, you've got to get in there and win this challenge, because if you don't, you'll be stuck here forever. And that terrified me. I would often just cover my eyes for it, the whole thing, like, oh god, are they gonna make it? And sometimes
You're trapped.
yeah. But Jungle Run is what scared me the most, because in a way it sort of seemed the most real out of the bunch. Like, I genuinely believe that these kids are stuck behind this giant stone door, and I'm like, they're never gonna see their families again. If I took part in this, I'd be so screwed.
Well, they must have found a way out, because every time you see them go in there, you don't see a load of skeletons on the ground and stuff. So.
Oh
Good
god.
point.
The corpses piling up in the room.
Perhaps they use that to decorate the sets or something.
Yeah, they should make that like a callback. Just every time new hosts come in, there's just a slightly bigger pile.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Sid and Elvis. Ugh, those two monkeys in Jungle Run creep me out. Basically, these two monkeys, and they were just men in monkey costumes. Sid and Elvis were basically the troublemakers. Like, they would like throw coconuts at the kids so they wouldn't get their treasures in time or finish the challenges in time, and I'm like, you scumbags!
Oh wait,
How dare!
they were just men in monkey costumes? I thought they were real. My child is real!
Oh,
Way to
sorry.
go, Dan.
Sorry. But speaking of crushed childhoods, Toys R Us is officially shut down.
Oh, yeah. It's gone into administration, hasn't it?
They've officially closed their doors in America.
Oh.
And it's just heartbreaking, because, oh god, there's only one Toys R Us locally, and I hope that doesn't go away too.
I think it was always the best place to get the big Lego sets, except for Legoland, of course. But
Yeah. And it's just so depressing, because Jeffrey the giraffe waving goodbye in that one picture with a suitcase, it's just, oh, it hits me in the heart.
oh,
And
Wasn't there this one sign that was kind of like a parody of the Toys R Us theme? Like, all the kids have grown up, there are no more Toys R Us kids.
oh god, like, I think didn't they do
All
that?
the kids have grown up, there are no more Toys R Us kids. Hooray!
Oh god. I'm thinking about making like a little picture, like, because Fresh, my main avatar is a giraffe. I just want to make like a little send off for Toys R Us, just me comforting Jeffrey, like, it's alright. There are plenty more opportunities out there for you, Jeffrey.
I was sad when Woolworths shut down years ago, because I quite
Oh my
liked Woolworths.
god, Woolworths!
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
They always seem to have really obscure DVDs that you couldn't find in other shops, and I was like,
Yeah, they also
oh
have really good costumes as well.
Mm.
yeah.
All I remember, I think I've only been in a Woolworths like 3 times. Like every time I would think about them, I would just think about Wool and Worth. You know, the dog and the
Yeah.
sheep who advertised them.
But going back to game shows, I have to say, you had Jungle Run and Trapped. You had The Raven, which instead of monkeys, you had demons stopping you, which was probably, and then Fort Boyard, which I saw an adult version first, which was pretty cool. Has anyone here seen Takeshi's Castle?
Yes.
It is awesome.
Takeshi's Castle?
Yeah, it's the Japanese version of Total Wipeout, eventually. Except they're less focused on health and safety rules, so everything looks like it hurts, but it looks amazing. You have to check it out. It's so funny.
My personal favorite episode is probably the Monster Halloween special, because all the contestants are dressed up in like Godzilla-like costumes or characters from movies, and it is absolutely hilarious to see Godzilla and a centaur trip up and fall on their face.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna
have to. You have to. There's like a 3-person centipede. You've got like this bouncing red pile of muck who just throws himself at everything, and you've also got like Genghis Khan slamming into a solid wall. It's hilarious.
And the thing about Takeshi's Castle is most of the time you watched it, there'd never be a winner. Like, maybe once in, like, I think I only saw one win. And all the others you're rooting for, like, come on, you can do it. Because it starts with 1,000 people, then it dwindles down to 100, I think. Or maybe it's 100 first, I don't know. And it just keeps getting lower and lower. So eventually there's this massive, like, laser quest fight at the end. And it's like, considering they've had to go over rope bridges that they fall off and stepping stones and water, and then it ends with a laser quest thing, I'm surprised they can pull the trigger because they're broken every bone in their body doing it.
You know, they should have done more episodes like the Monster Special. I think they should just make that a separate show. Just like monsters trying to storm this castle, but you need to go through vigorous challenges to do so. Like, you can imagine, like, how creative some of the costumes are going to be, whether they be funny or just downright, you know.
That sounds like a show. Copyright the Fresh Air Show, yes again.
Yep. Another property for the win.
What about you, Rowan? Was there anything, shows like that stuck out to you?
The only ones I ever watched were Raven, really. I always really liked Raven because I was always a fantasy nerd even back then, and just the idea of having this like tall, menacing guy with the black cape and everything, and it was like, oh my god, it's so cool. And all the stuff they got to do, like abseiling and racing and climbing, and that was just really cool. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
More recently, Wipeout was a favourite, but that was more funny than anything else.
Yeah.
What was that other one recently where the host is a fawn? Like the fawn in the Chronicles of Narnia, like Mr. Tumnus. And that was on TV not long ago. It's similar to Trapped. I can't remember the name. Someone might know in the comments.
I think it's in my brain somewhere, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though. But possibly.
Possibly, that's all I can say.
I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to the Fresh Air Show. I'm Randy Newman.
I've gathered up more of the month's most ridiculous headlines. And so, where I basically look back on the month and gather the most hilarious headlines that have made me laugh. So I've got this one here. Tell me what you think of this. A group of concerned parents is petitioning Marvel to make Hulk wear a bra because his massive pecs are bound to make teens go crazy. Who is getting? Who is got the hots for the Hulk? Tell me that.
A lot of people in Tumblr.
Maybe those. I take it these people got excited in Thor Ragnarok when he's completely naked and he gets out the spa.
Ugh. Like
Ruin space.
And this is a family-friendly thing. Calm down.
yeah, Hulk wearing a bra. That already exists, and her name is She-Hulk.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Plus, that would just raise a lot of questions when he's Bruce Banner. Like, you just imagine Bruce Banner.
Oh my God!
He comes down from Hulk.
You know, like how he wears like that sort of grass skirt in Thor Ragnarok. You know, like those little hula dolls you put on like your dashboard.
Yeah, I never actually caught on to that.
Someone should make that, just a little Hulk hula doll in a bra just going like
Just kind of coconut bras.
yeah.
What would Black Widow have to say
Oh.
if she was wearing a...
You probably just give a thumbs up and be like, ugh.
All right. This next one's from Disney. All right. Disney is developing.
Disney?
Yeah, Disney is developing flying robots for stunts in theme park superhero shows. Now, I don't know whether to be excited or scared by that.
Well, I mean, they had a fire-breathing dragon that caught on fire, so...
Like,
Just sounds like a big version of drones. Doesn't sound too bad. Sounds quite cool.
like,
It's true.
then again, part of me thinks that does sound pretty cool because they managed to bring Dumbo to life through the magic of drones. Which,
Yeah.
and if you ignore that fact, oh my God, he is adorable when he flies around.
I have to repeat.
From a scientific perspective.
I still haven't been abroad, so I haven't been able to experience the wonders of Disneyland yet.
Oh.
Your
One day.
unfortunate soul.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of going on holiday, the reason why I'm recording the podcast now, this might not seem like a big issue to our audience, but I'm actually heading out to Edinburgh later this week for 4 days. So, yeah, I've not been to Edinburgh in quite a long time, but I'm just going there to experience things like the Museum of Childhoods. I don't know what to expect from many of these places. The National Museum of Scotland, Camera Obscura should be pretty interesting as well. So, I just want.
I've been to Edinburgh Zoo.
Yeah, I've been there 3 times. You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. Just before we close out, Rowan, last time we left off, you were in Greece. So, anything exciting happen?
Let's see. It was good. Skies were really clear. There were a few thunderstorms, which were cool. The hotel I was on was literally just a step away from the beach, so
Nice.
the beach was just a part of the patio area, I guess it's called.
The world is our garden.
Yep, it was. So you could just go down a set of stairs from the buffet area, and you'd be on the beach, which was cool.
Nice.
And there were sort of merchant people on the beach as well. They'd go up and down and try to sell you things.
Ah, yeah. There were quite a few of them in Spain when I went. They were always trying to sell you handbags and torches.
Sunglasses.
My parents would often just dismiss them, like, yeah, it's not really what we came here for.
Yes, when you went to Spain
Mm-hmm.
for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Chapter 6, the long-awaited Chapter 6 is up. That's what you're referring to.
But, Rowan, you can answer the long-awaited question. Was the food greasy, or was it good?
It was pretty alright. It was sort of universal stuff mostly, like chips and chicken breasts and stuff like that. Pretty basic things, so I wouldn't know.
Nice. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Speaking of merchants on the beach, there were these two Jamaican guys who, if anyone has seen me physically recently, did this little hair braid I got, like one of those where they have a bunch of threads and they just take a lock of your hair and they just twirl it around.
That is
They're
cool.
really, yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
They were sort of the charming type, and they said Hakuna Matata a lot. They were like, yeah,
Wow.
I know. I was surprised too, and it was they'd come up with their big bag of strings, and they'd be like, "Hey, air braid, Hakuna Matata. Hey, you want the bracelet? You want the air braid? Don't
Wow.
worry, be happy." I'm not being like stereotypical here. They literally talk like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Well, they were all friendly.
Oh yeah, very friendly.
Nice. And when you came back, you gifted me with one of those blue eye pendants.
Oh yeah, the evil eye thing.
Yeah, Dudley, you can probably see it on the wall there
Oh,
by the light switch there.
nice. That looks good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently,
Protect you from evil.
apparently, my sort, being black hair and blue eyes, I'm considered good luck in Greece. And apparently stories from my mum, apparently when people saw me, they would like, stroke my cheek because I was considered good luck. So they would sort of see if my good luck would rub off on them. So, yeah.
Good
You
luck
should have
from your skin oil.
Should have charged 50p a stroke.
But yeah, I'm basically... So yeah, not only am I giraffe, but I'm a good luck giraffe, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Next time I go to Greece, I'm bringing you with me just so I can charge people 50 to touch you.
Yeah. If
Touch my friend's cheek, one touch for a cent, or whatever they
And
use.
You've got your ice cream money covered then. See? It
Nice.
all comes together.
Yeah, brilliant.
Excellent.
Well, seems we're at 43 minutes there. Do you think we should leave it off there?
Yeah.
If nobody else has anything to say.
Well, I think I did have a few stories from my dad that I have planned, but I've been waiting to receive texts from him so I can remember it in full detail, but I guess we'll have to wait until the next one for that, so
Yeah.
just be
Would-
prepared.
Okie dokie.
We'll do my movie themed one next time because I'll have to see what this phone call's about. But I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Be sure to tell us the result of that picture. Ideal.
oh
if you
yes.
put the picture in the video, put a time where it is in the description so I can go straight to the picture, which would be quite handy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm off to Edinburgh. I'll see you next month for a brand new episode of the Fresh Air Show. Time to say goodbye, guys.
Have fun, Dan.
Bye.
Enjoy your summer, people. Watch out for thunderstorms
And seagulls.
and seagulls.
Or that black bird you mentioned. Anyway,
Yes.
stay fresh.
Or
See you
Jamaicans.
Yep. See you next month. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is dedicated in loving memory to my uncle, Thomas McIntosh Ray, a great man with a green thumb who gave me mines in return.